Shalom, Israel, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. We finna get into this the second Maccabees chapter 6. Now, second Maccabees chapter 6 and second Maccabees chapter 7 is one of them verses you go to. One of them chapters you go to and just sit and meditate on it. Like get you excited. It kind of have you thinking and also get you excited through the spirit because you're gonna read about a man named Eleazar in the book of Second Maccabees chapter 6, and it goes into how he was put to death because he didn't eat pork, and it's crazy when you think about it because you actually had men getting put to death for not eating pork, but in today's time in 2022, our people is happily eating pork. They're not having a gun to their head or their head under a guillotine and Esau forcing them to eat pork. No, they happily glad going to eat a baconator, going to get some pork chops, going to get some bacon. But you will see when you get into Second Maccabees chapter 6, man, you really had a brother, an elder, Salakia, an elder get put to death because he didn't want to eat the pork. So when to get into this thing through the spirit, get into Second Maccabees chapter 6. It's a mighty, mighty chapter, brothers and sisters. Definitely hop into it, and it just shows you how it shows you how much the other nations, mainly the so-called white man, want us to eat pork, man, because he was trying to make us eat pork. He was trying to keep us away from our laws of our God. He was like, he was basically trying to force us to start keeping their lifestyle instead of keeping our lifestyle that the Most High God gave us. So you're going to actually see in the Bible how this played out. And this coming back to the earth. It's going to come a time where, Esau going to be like, the new world order, we under this order. If you don't want to do it, you're going to have to get put to death. That's why you have people that was called martyrs, that was put to death for this truth. And we're going to show you a man named Eleazar. And Lord willing, I can get Second Maccabees chapter 7 breakdown. I can break that down probably another time. That's a mighty, mighty chapter going into, what I'm saying, a woman and her sons getting put to death and getting tortured for the commandments of the Lord. So this ain't nothing to play with, man. So we're finna get into this thing. Lord willing, be a beautiful, beautiful video through the spirit, and Lord willing, brothers get edified and see the importance of not eating pork. So we're finna get into this thing. Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 1.
Read the whole chapter. You want me to read the whole chapter?
Yeah, you can get the whole chapter.
Okay. Come on, okay. So like I was trying to
I think somebody might have came in there. But yeah, here you go. All praises. We get into this thing. Let me know if you want me to read it, because I can read it though.
you don't want me to read it?
Yeah, but I know you have muted yourself. I thought somebody came in.
Yeah, they did come in.
Okay, well, just let me know if somebody come in and you need me to read. I got it. You got it.
Okay, come on. All right, this is the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6. Not long after this, the kings and old men of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of Yahweh.
My bad. Say this real quick. So, off rip, they are forcing our people to stop keeping our laws and commandments that our God gave us. Now that's how you know it's power in keeping the laws and commandments, because if it wasn't power in keeping the laws and commandments, you wouldn't have the other nations and a king basically commanding us, worried about us keeping our laws and commandments. So he's trying to command, like, okay, them Jews over there, make them stop keeping their laws and commandments. I don't want to see none of them keeping the Sabbath day. I don't want to see none of them wearing fringes. Stop that. We're gonna stop that. We're gonna put an end to that. We finna be under my law. That's what he doing right now. But you got it.
And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in that place.
So he basically taking over. It said he polluted our temple in Jerusalem. He called it Jupiter. So he basically trying to come in, and you see that on different movies when the city get conquered and the other people come in and start changing everything around, start burning stuff. That's exactly what's going on right now, man. Like I say, when you watch these movies, a lot of these movies have like truth in them. A lot of this stuff happen like that. So we saying that he polluted our temple. He came in and changed the name and changed things around. They're not temple. But you got it.
The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dally with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful.
So like I said just then, the heathen are coming. That's disrespectful, man. It's like somebody coming into your house unannounced, coming into your house, kicking you out, and then they start changing your house around to what they want in your house. Start bringing statues in your house. That's what they did to That's what they did. They defiling it, man, with harlots, sleeping with harlots all in the open. Laying with women all in the open. It said, and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. It don't say what they brought in, but it say they brought in things. The Greeks, they brought in things that was which was not lawful. So they probably brought in some pork. They had pork. They probably brought homosexuals in. You don't know what they brought in. It say they just brought in things that was not lawful. So we know if they brought in things that was not of the Most High God, inside Jerusalem and our temples, our temple and things like that, and they was um, basically partying crazy. It was basically in the temple partying crazy, man, drinking, probably getting drunk, passing out, laying with animals. That's what they was doing. If you look into the history of the Greeks, they laid with animals. They did stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that in this account right here. They didn't get too in deep with it. In depth with it, but it said that they was doing things and bringing things in that was not lawful in the Most High God eyes. Um, And it said the altar was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. So yeah, they said they filled the altar probably with pork. They definitely, I read it in First Maccabees how they offered up pork to the Most High God. So they probably filled out our altar up with pork. What else? Crabs, shrimp. Probably put a little lobster in there. They did. They filled it up with things that were forbidding in the law in Leviticus 11, the whole chapter, forbidden. But you got it, babe.
Con. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Dang. It said neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath day. So you know how we can keep the Sabbath day now, us being Israelites, we can keep the Sabbath day to the best of our ability without us getting persecuted and without nobody saying, oh, you can't keep the Sabbath day. We can go around keeping the ancient feast without Esau busting down our door and being like, I caught one Israelite keeping the feast, and he throwing you in the FEMA camp. And we can confess that we Jews now. I'm saying it right now on the internet. I'm a Jew. You got brothers saying they Jews, they Israelites. We confess that. We can confess that now. But just like in this account right now, it's gonna come a time where if you're not gonna be able to confess that you're a Jew without punishment happening, because it's gonna be like a crime. You saying that you're a Jew is gonna sound like you saying you're a terrorist or something like that in the eyes of this society. So it was times where brothers couldn't even confess themselves to be Jews. And that's why people don't understand Paul's letters when he was saying there's no difference between the Jew or the Greek, because you got to understand a lot of our people was confessing themselves to be Greeks. Why were they doing that? Because during this time, if you was going around saying that you was a Jew, that you was an Israelite, if you was going around keeping the feast days and the Sabbath days, you were literally put to death for that. So you had a lot of our people basically changing sides and say, you know what, I can't get put to death. I got a family I gotta feed. So I'm gonna just call myself a Greek and I'm gonna do whatever the Greeks do. I'm gonna keep their customs to stay alive. So that's exactly what brothers was doing, man. It was a crime for you to come out and say your nationality. And that's what they doing slowly but surely now. You got Kyrie Irving and Kanye basically saying we the Jews, but they acting like they said they acting like they said they gonna bomb the World Trade Centers or something. You know what I'm saying? So they making this is slowly coming back to the earth. But you got it.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
So they make
Moreover,
hold up. I think you said, oh, that's feast, my love. I think you said fast. I think it's feast. Um,
mm,
in verse 7,
oh
he
yeah,
said,
that's sorry.
oh, hold up. It say when a fast.
It's
I mean,
feast. It's just say fast.
yeah, it's feast. It said in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. So it's like, and it remind me of Hunger Games, not the first Hunger Games, but I think it's the third one. The third one that they dropped. It kind of remind you of that because it's like they literally are forced to do this. You know what I'm saying? Without getting put to death. They literally, it's like they carrying ivy, like they gotta do this, man. And this what they gonna do again real soon. The brothers that confess themselves to be Greeks, they gonna actually have to live like Greeks and bow down to Greek gods and do sacrifices to them and all that type of crazy stuff, human sacrifice and all that. That's type of stuff that you have to do. That's how they get down, you know. But you got it.
Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashions and be taught partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
So if you went down with that, basically, if you wasn't trying to confess yourself, if you was like, man, I don't care what he talking about, I'm going to confess myself to be a Jew because the Most High God called me to be a Jew. He called me to be an Israelite. So I'm going to confess that. Now, if you was doing that during these times, what he said was going to happen to him?
Get put to death.
You was gonna get put to death in that time. So it's like, these are the times that's coming back, man. These are the times, that we're gonna see again real soon. That if you confess yourself to be an Israelite, you're gonna get, punished for that. But it's a beautiful thing because if you die for this truth, if you die for your nationality and these laws, you're gonna get raised back up in the kingdom of heaven. You gonna get the kingdom of heaven if you die for this truth. So it's a beautiful thing, but just know that will come with it though. And that's what's gonna happen that will happen to a lot of our brothers. And you're gonna see it's gonna come. I think it's coming up when Esau threw Esau threw some woman babies off a roof because she circumcised them. We finna read it, but you can keep going. We finna get to it.
For there were two women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly laid round about the city, the babes handing at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall.
So that's like that's real wicked, man. Like you take the women children that's breastfeeding and throw them off a wall headlong. Now it wasn't no little bitty wall. It couldn't have been. You throwing him, he gotta throw him like this. So that show you right there that the wickedness of the so-called white man. So when you hear about them feeding our babies to alligators, or them cutting our tongue out and cutting our fingers out, like we understand that he actually did those things because it's a account right here in the Bible that we just read of him, of two women that was all they did was circumcise their children, like the law said. Circumcise your children, circumcise your boy child. We see that they did that, but we know that wickedness of him because he took the babies and threw him off a cliff, man. He also threw. Oh no, that was Pharaoh when he killed the firstborns, killed all the men, the boy children, and threw them into the water and drowned them and killed the women children. No, they know that, man. They do that. These other nations do stuff like that, bro. That's what the Lord said they have to pay for what they done. All the crime, the torture that they done to our people, they have to pay for that. They ain't escaped that. But you got it.
And others they had ran together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day.
So you had, bro, you had brothers and sisters going out for the name of the Lord. They literally was like, nah, we still gonna keep the law. We're gonna go into this cave. Let's go into this cave and let's keep the laws and commandments. But they was caught though and they got burnt to death. But end of the day, you die for the Lord, man. The Lord gonna look at who knows that who to say that they felt that. How do we know that they felt that pain? You gotta think about it. A lot of these torments that our forefathers went through, the righteous ones, they was in the spirit. So who's to say they even felt that? Who's to say that when they burnt and they died? Who to say the Lord didn't take their spirit out of their body before they got into the fire? So they ain't feel nothing. They was already in the spirit world. But that the Lord would do things like that for you if you being sincere and you keeping his laws and commandments. He would actually, you know, sometimes might not even allow you to feel the punishment that you're going through. You might just be sitting there chilling. You don't even feel nothing. They might got fire to your fire on your hand. It might throw a fire. It might throw you into a burning furnace, and you don't feel nothing. You just in there cooling. The Lord can do that, but you might still die. You might die. He might take your spirit out your body. You ain't feel nothing the whole time. He can do that, man. So who's to say that? Who's to say that they didn't that didn't happen to them? But you got it, babe.
Con. Was that verse 12? Yeah. Now beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness when wicked doers are not suffered any long time before with punish. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbear to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Lest that being come to the height of sin, afterwards he should take vengeance of us. And therefore he never withdraweth his mercy from us, though he punished with adversity, yet doth he never forsake his people.
So he never turned away his mercy from us. Even though he allowed us to go through adversity, even though he punished us and have us in certain situations, the Bible said, he never withdraw his mercy from us, man. The Lord loved us so much that even though you might come a time where during Jacob's trouble, when all hell break loose, you might get sent into a FEMA camp and you might get tortured. But that don't mean that the Lord don't love you though. You gotta think about it. There's plenty of our forefathers and foremothers that was keeping the commandments, that loved the Most High God, and they still went through the fire. You gotta think about it. Are we greater than our Master Yahweh Shai? Are we greater than who the world called Jesus Christ? No, we not. And he went through that stuff. So what make us think? Now all of us not gonna go through that. All of us not gonna have to be martyrs. You're gonna have some people, make it to the end and get beamed up, but you're gonna have some have to get raised up because they might have been martyrs and died. But if our master Yahweh Shah went through this, how much more his servants? We're not greater than him. If none of us went through none of what he went through, we will be greater than him. So we know that we servants to him. So we're gonna have to go through. Some of us gonna have to go through, what he went through, the mockery, the torment, the laughter, the torture, you know, the embarrassment, all that. You have to go through all that. But it's a beautiful outcome at the end, though, which is the kingdom of heaven.
Con. But let this that we had spoken be for a warning unto us, and now will we come to the declaring of the matter in a few words. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of well favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
So they got this brother we were talking about, Eleazar, right? He's an elder. Now they got him, man. They got our brother Eleazar, man. And now guess what? They're trying to force him to eat pork. Now let's see if he'd be like, well, it's just pork. It's just pork. Let me eat that. My great grandma Betty, she always been eating pork. It's just pork. Why would I not eat pork? Why would I why would I die instead of eating pork? It's just a little piece of pork. I need to go ahead and eat that pork and I live. Let's see, was his mindset like that? Or was his mindset like, no, I don't care how much pork you try to give me. I'm not eating it because I'm not finna transgress the most high God laws and commandments. Let's see what his mindset was on. But you got it.
Con. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment.
So that it's like they put it in his mouth. Like you know how they try to force you, they'll put like they'll have your mouth open, you trying to close your mouth, they'll open and they'll put the pork in there. It's like I think yeah, he said he spit it forth, like he spit it out, like he like get this out my mouth. He didn't want that pork, man. But now we now as a people we naturally eat pork. Like that's something that we don't look down upon. That's something that we don't really care to. We don't care about. We don't care about. We love. I'm saying this. We love pork. We love pork. But here you have it. A brother finna get tormented if they have to force him to eat the pork. So that's how you know we're not supposed to be eating pork. Our forefathers was not down with that. They rather died instead of eating pork. Think about that. They rather died instead of eating pork. The swine. Hey, that should tell you something right there. We far away from we ain't in this state no more as a people, man. We'd rather eat the pork than die. But you got it.
Con, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
Ooh, so it say, man, it said, check this out. It said to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. So the Bible is basically saying, man, that we shouldn't even know how a pig tastes. We shouldn't even know how pork swine taste. He said it is not. He said against such things that are not lawful for the love of life. For the love of life, your whole life, your whole time on this earth, you shouldn't even be tasting no pork. So you shouldn't even be doing that. This is what the brother's saying right now, man. That's why he not trying to eat that pork. But the so-called white man want to force him to eat that pork. Why? Because he know that we're not supposed to do it. He's trying to make an example out of him. That's why during slavery they forced you to eat pork. That's all we ate. That's all we ate. Because they like us. They like when we do that because we farther away from our God and we in sin. And they like when we destroy ourselves with swine's flesh. They love when we do that. But you got it.
But they that had the charge of their wicked feast for the old acquaintance that had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh, taken from the sacrifice of the command, taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Hold on. It said, let me read that. Reread it slowly. So like reread it slowly.
But they that had the charge of their wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
Dang, so they basically say, okay, boom, you don't want this. What they saying? This what they saying to Eleazar. Okay, so you don't want to eat the pork. Okay, we gonna this is what we can do for you. We can bring you some food that we can bring you some meat that's lawful to eat in your law in Leviticus 11. We can bring you some chicken. We can bring you some lamb. We can bring you some oxtails, right? We can bring you any meat that you want. You can eat that, right? We'll let you have that. But but just act like you ate the pork. That's what they telling him to say. He don't have to eat the pork, but just act like you ate the pork. Now, why is they telling him to he don't why are they telling him to act like he ate the pork? Because they want to basically make an example out of him. So he's an elder, right? He's a well-known elder. So just imagine the people that are looking up to him. Even if he didn't eat the pork and he say he ate the pork, imagine what's gonna be going through their head. They gonna probably eat the pork too, but just because he ate the pork. So let's see what he say after they said that. Let's see what he said after they said that. Let's see if he's gonna eat the pork.
You can
Let's see
add
what he gonna do. But you got it.
that in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as he became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come in his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by Yahweh. Therefore he answered accordingly and willed them straightways to send him to the grave.
So he like, man, he like, hey, no, 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 matter of fact, keep going, keep reading.
For it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being fourscore years old and 10, were now gone to a strange religion. And so they, through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable.
So he thinking down the line though. He thinking down the line. He like, okay, no, even if I don't eat that pork and I say I ate it, that's gonna bring a stain to my name because everybody, it's a lot of people that looked up to me, but I'm gonna have a bad name now. Every time they think about my name, they're gonna think about me as selling out and eating pork. He thinking about that. He's thinking about the children that look up to him. That if I eat this pork, they might eat the pork too. They might think it's okay. They might think I'm with a strange religion. They might think pork lawful not because I ate it, and they might eat it. So he's thinking about stuff like that, man. He's thinking about the damage that's gonna come with that, even if he don't eat it, but he's saying that he ate it. That what they trying to make him say that he ate it. They can bring a lot of damage to the nation. So he's actually thinking about that and meditating on that before he make his decision, man. He had to think if he was hasty, say, oh, you can't be hasty. That's why the scripture say don't be hasty, because if you hasty, he wasn't going if he was hasty, he would have never thought about stuff like that. But you can't be hasty, you gotta be slow, be relaxed, think for you know what I'm saying? Think. But you got it.
Con. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead.
So like that's going back to Matthew 10 and 28, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't fear the person that can kill the body. We fear the person that can kill the body and soul in hell. So basically what he's saying is, for though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of man. So he's saying, man, you can do whatever you want to. It's gonna be the punishment is not gonna last long. You know what I'm saying? I die and be out there with the Father. But then he said, um, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive or dead. So he said, either alive or dead, I'm not going to escape the Most High God. I'm going to get punished either way. If I say I ate this pork and deceive my people, even if you don't kill me, I'm still going to get punished. He going to still judge me. And if I die, I'm going to get judged then. So either way, you're not going to be able to escape the Most High God's judgments. That's what he's saying, but you got it.
Wherefore now manfully changing his life, I will show myself such and one as mine age requireth, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment.
So they basically he like, man, uh, he said leave another example. So he trying to leave an example to the youth, man. He like, man, nah, I'm not finna sell out. I'm gonna leave an example to the youth so they can look up, they can always remember me, not selling out. So Lord willing, when they get in this situation, they won't sell out either. And right when he said that, they took him straight to the torment. They were mad. They thought he was finna sell out. They took him straight to the torments. You can keep going.
They that led him changing the good will, they bear him a little before into hatred, because the foresaid speeches proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten, but in soul am well content to suffer these things because I fear him.
Mm.
Thus, this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nations.
So we reading about him now, bro. Think about it. If he would have folded, we would have read about him and shook our head like, Eleazar, man, he a sellout. But we know that he didn't leave no stain on his name to this day, because to this day we reading about him, and to this day we like, wow, brother mighty. So just imagine if he would have sold out. Nobody wouldn't be talking about Eleazar like that, and if they did, they would have been bringing him up like us, and you know what I'm saying, like a sellout, thinking about like he would have been in the category with Judas, not Judas Maccabees, the Judas that sold out Christ. He would have been in the category with him if he would have sold out. So you know the brother went out like a soldier, man. You know what I'm saying? He went out with courage, and he always gonna be remembered. Eleazar is all you got. Now you got brothers Hebrew name Eleazar. You know, brothers go back to Second Maccabees chapter 6, and read about Eleazar. So he always gonna be remembered for his courage and him dying for the words of life and being an example for the youth, man. You know, so Lord, in this video was mighty, man. I was like, man, Second Maccabees chapter 6 was mighty, and like I said, these are the times that's gonna come back on the earth. You know, these things are coming back. We gotta get our spirits right. Some of us might be in these positions that our forefathers and foremothers was in, but we got to endure like they did, because um the scriptures say that everything in these scriptures are basically for our learning sake. So we read and we learn and understand, you know, how our forefathers and foremothers overcame certain things or how they handled certain things. So if we get in those positions, we'll know how to handle them. You know, so Lord willing, I'll be able to get Second Maccabees chapter 8. Lord willing, I can do it live on Second Maccabees chapter 8 tomorrow if it be in the Most High will. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. I say Shalom. Kwame Yasharala.